video game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Level 2 Podcast, episode 18, 100% legal. My name's Keegan. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm here with the other half of Level 2 gamers. Tom, how you doing? You're trying so hard not to laugh at me right now.
I'm having a good time. I'm fine. How are you?
You're fine. I'm good. I'm fantastic. I'm running 4 hours of sleep as usual.
We have a special guest today.
We do. His name is Jake. He actually works with us at the company we work at, which we don't say where we work at. But how you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great. How you two doing?
We're good. I'm a little tired, as you know. I had a crazy morning this morning.
Yeah, you did.
I went to work without working because I had to help somebody shoot something, and then I ended up getting
That's basically what you do most days.
Then I got pulled into work because people called in sick, and then I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And record video games.
So we've had a fun morning so far. Before recording, we
made Jake try to get sick.
Well, we didn't try. We just wanted to see how his legs were doing, his VR legs, and he did all right. I think he passed all the tests.
He didn't pass out.
He did not pass out. So I assumed that when we maybe record some later, he should be in good shape. But,
hopefully.
Yeah. Do you feel good about it?
Yeah, I think so.
You said you were getting lightheaded.
I was getting a little lightheaded there towards the end, but
but you were playing it pretty hard. You were playing Resident Evil 7 at the end.
Yeah, so we started with
Descent.
we
broke you in pretty fast.
Ocean Descent.
Ocean Descent.
Yeah. Then we went to Rush of Blood, and then Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, so he got the standing doing nothing, the sitting doing something, and then the walking and talking and shooting.
And doing everything.
Yeah. The lightheadedness could have been caused by Mia just as much as anything else. She was a little nasty. But
She was pretty mean. Yeah. I don't like Mia very much.
So as we start out every podcast, what have you been playing, Tom? What games you got going on?
I haven't had a lot of time for gaming, to be honest. I finished Resident Evil 7, as you well know. The only thing I've played since then is VR Dirt Rally.
Mm-hmm. Which just was released.
Yeah, I played it flat this morning just to kind of get an idea of it.
That flat means 2D.
Means normal.
Non-VR, yeah. Didn't know if you knew that. That's Tom's term for non-VR.
I mean,
flat.
It makes sense. So I played it flat, and I really enjoyed it, actually. So Dirt Rally is a hard game.
Yes. I have it. We could play it on the stream.
It's surprising, though, because I was doing okay by the end, but it's kind of...
up with it.
Yeah, it's so hard, because I don't know, how much do you know about rally driving?
Very little.
Yeah, about the same here, right? So you got a co-driver who's
yelling stuff at you?
Yeah, yelling stuff that just is absolute fucking nonsensical madness.
It makes sense if you know what
60,
he's saying.
turn left, hairpin, don't cut, and you're like, what? I'm just going to keep driving and hope for the best. Thanks there, guy.
Hairpin don't cut.
Is that like a fried egg on a piece of dry toast or something like that?
I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. You're supposed to understand him, but I think there's even a tutorial that I just didn't do. But in VR, it was why I wanted to play it. I played it flat, then I played it in VR to see the difference. VR was really fun. I almost preferred it flat, to be honest.
Wonder
if we'll see.
Well, motion sickness in that game will be crazy if you flip a car.
It's not too bad.
If you flip a car, though.
No, I did that. Trust me, I flipped and I went all over the place. They cut away. They almost make it seem like you're blacking out as you get into something crazy. So it kind of goes black and you don't feel it's not as bad as Drive Club and stuff for nausea at all.
I wonder if that game will let you do a co-pilot mode. It
does.
I could be talking to you and giving you instructions.
It does.
Hey, Tom.
It doesn't do it by talking, but you have to press buttons. So,
I know, but I'm saying online, how cool would that be? Hey, Tom, there's a left turn. Actually, hey, Tom, 90 right.
You would, you would fucking lie to me the entire time. It would not be a fun experience.
There's a tree over there.
But no, there is actually a version of that where you have someone that could be your co-pilot, but they're using the controller to do the things as opposed to saying it, which I think is fair.
I prefer to say. You'd be like, there's a turn.
Yeah. It would be a shit show.
You're going right.
But yeah, I really liked that. It was fun. And then in TV, I did start a new season of a show, which is tradition for this podcast.
I feel every week
there's a new show.
That just shows how much you binge watch.
I'm not going to be able to finish this one before the next podcast, though, because it's a long one. So have you ever seen The Blacklist?
No.
Have not watched.
Neither of you. All right, good.
What's it? Netflix, Hulu?
Nefarious means.
Okay.
And so
iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes. As always. So The Blacklist is James Spader. Do you know who James Spader is?
No.
He had a short stint in The Office.
Jake's
continuously disappointed with Keegan today in his life.
Tom's figured this out by now.
No, I'm right in there with Jake.
I know, but you're just coming.
He's experiencing my pain on a daily basis.
It's Daniel Jackson.
Yeah. So it's okay. We'll show you a picture you might know later.
Jackson.
But James Spader is in it, and basically he plays this like world-class criminal that shows up at the FBI, headquarters or whatever one day, and he's like, "I'm turning myself in. I'll only talk to one FBI agent, and it's a rookie agent. It's her first day." So she comes in, and then he basically says, "I have a list of the most dangerous criminals in the world. You don't know 90% of them. That's why they're so good. And I will basically help you take down everyone on this list, but I'll only talk to her." And then this kind of web of intrigue starts. Why is he talking to her?
Does he have a thing with her?
Well, that's the thing. You don't really know. Like, there's hints that he's maybe her dad, or maybe he knew her dad, who was a career criminal. And like her husband, like he sort of plants some stuff on her husband and tries to make her not like her husband, but you can't tell if it's true or not.
Does he do this for some sort of like immunity?
Yeah, the deal is for immunity, but he almost seems more to care about the girl that he's going through this whole thing with, and it's her first day, so she just she's late on her first day, and they arrive in the black helicopters and everything, and they're like, "We need you now," and she's like, "Oh great, this is what happens every time I'm late," and but no, it's actually a really good show, and it's very similar in nature, like Bones or something like that. Like every episode is a self-contained story based upon whichever criminal it is that week, but there's an overarching theme that you sort of go through as well. So if you like Supernatural, Bones, that style of show where every story is different,
love it.
It's great. It's really good. I mean, it's cheesy in places, and like my wife a couple times was rolling her eyes like, "This is stupid," but at the same time, it's exciting enough to hold your interest. And the criminals are like really good. Like, for example, there's one called the Stew Maker, and his job is to make stew. Literally to make dead bodies disappear through acid. Yes. So he will.
I was thinking like
get a
hotel.
hotel.
Eat 'em. That's what I was thinking, stew maker.
Not quite. It's human stew. So
that's what I'm saying, though. But like human, like you put the remains inside, like use a chef and you put the remains in there.
No, it's not like Hannibal or anything.
That would be cool.
Yeah, he literally just evaporates matter into nothingness, and it doesn't matter, like bones and everything. But the only thing that doesn't go is the teeth, and he collects the teeth, and that's his trophy. So it's creepy, right?
It's an everyday
but
thing.
it's 4 seasons long, so I'm probably going to be stuck on it for a while because they're like 21 episodes a season.
They're all going to be like, thank God, we don't hear about a new fucking show next
I'll
week.
just keep telling you about that every week. But that's been me.
Cool. I've been up to For Honor came out, as you know. I believe we talked about it on the last podcast. It came out the day. I don't think I'd played it at that point.
Right.
The final release, the full version. Played a little bit. Played the story. We're streaming it. It did. That first stream did successfully well. That was a weird phrase. Did very well.
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but I was mid-smoke, so I thought I'll just let him have it. Thanks for calling yourself out.
Yeah, it did really well. We played a little bit of multiplayer, leveling up, kind of learning the new characters. And then we're about to hop into ESO here again shortly because homes are a thing. Me and David have gone house shopping for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
It's real weird. We're married in that... I sent him a text yesterday. I go, okay, we're married. We're house shopping. What does that mean for a relationship?
Are you actually married in that game?
On our other characters, yes. So you get an XP bonus if you have the Ring of Mara and you go together.
Who proposed to who?
I proposed. I was the dude, so I proposed to him.
Aww.
So he was the chick.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
So yeah, house
hunting. I'm gonna buy the house prop when I leave today, and then Psychonauts, the Rhombus of Ruin, I think is the official name of it. The VR version came out, so I want to play that. That's on my radar of things to do. Along with, honestly, I'm doing the 24-hour stream here shortly. Shout out to DeGrotto, raised $250 in 24 hours for Able Gamers.
That's awesome.
We're at 353 as of recording this, so that's cool. 500 is the team goal. He
was having a good time. I checked in on him a couple times, and I remember when Jordan did it first thing in the morning the next day. He was just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, he also played Dark. He also played Dark Souls.
Right, that's true. Which will get on your nerves after that long. But I also think James was very upbeat. He was like.
Dude, Craig from Able Gamer stopped by. One of the head guys at Able Gamer stopped by. I have something to show you after we record this that I can't talk about on here because it's private stuff. But secrets, you guys will maybe find out? Question mark? Hopefully. But yeah. So shout out to DeGrotto for that. Blue was there for 16 hours. Shout out to Poseidon, who's one of his. I think he's a mod. I'm not 100% sure if he's a mod for James, but he's there for 16 hours.
There was a lot.
Bunch of raids, bunch of people showing up. $250 is nothing to sneeze at in 24 hours. I told him you're gonna make us look bad if we raise $5.
We'll be okay. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited to get that going on. It's gonna let me catch up on games I haven't played. So Ratchet & Clank's on the docket. Titanfall 2 single players on the docket.
It's really just an excuse
Overcooked.
to play video games solid for
kind of
a long time.
I'm scared I'm not gonna last 24 hours though. That's the only.
You'll be fine. Just drink your fucking bye or whatever it is.
Sponsored, not sponsored.
It's like sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. But so anyway, let's get to you, Jake. We're gonna be a little different. It's not be what you played. Let's talk about your gaming history.
Ooh.
So, what console would you say? What was the first game you remember playing? Whether arcade, and console, computer, whatever it may be. What's the first game you're like, I remember playing that?
The first one I remember playing would be Super Mario Brothers. I mean, classic Super Mario Brothers combo platter.
Yep. Did you owned an NES?
Yeah. Own NES. The neighborhood I grew up in, me and my family, it was a very tight knit neighborhood on the outskirts of our town. So it was one of those neighborhoods where the town that I grew up in at that time.
Yeah. It was a big little...
It was tiny, like 10,000 people, tiny.
So you're a small town boy.
Yeah.
So am I. I grew up 5,000.
It was definitely like more cows than people type of town. Yeah.
That's how you judge.
So,
second that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the neighborhood that I was in, we were outside city limits. So, like, all the kids in that neighborhood, those were our friends. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, hey, can I borrow your game? So, I mean, we no longer had our games. We had our neighborhood games. And, It was like a cool way to grow up.
So what we used to do is I used to put my last name's real short. It's 3 letters. We used to put my last names on like the N64 cartridges, so you knew whose they were.
Right.
And Will would put his initials, so we knew whose they were, but you didn't know who had them at the time. Like you just pass them around.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like our stuff was written on the games, but it was like, yeah, I gave that to so and so. I think he's still got it.
Still got it. I don't know where
but
it's at.
I'll probably get it back in a couple weeks.
The only
sometime.
game I wouldn't allow anybody to borrow was Mario Party 2. That's my jam.
Really, Mario Party? That was
the game that you cannot borrow because I always had friends over to my house and we'd always play that game. So like if I didn't have that game, I had friends over and be like, what the hell?
That was your security blanket.
Just day ruined at that point.
We had one that was it was an all-star baseball game for NES that I remember. It was one of the first games that you could actually save on the cartridge itself. You could save a game on.
Nice.
You could create your own teams and everything. So everyone in the neighborhood had their own team.
That's fancy.
So we'd pass that cartridge around and you'd play a game, pass it to the next person, have like tournaments all throughout the summer and everything.
Those of you who don't know, you used to not be able to save to a giant hard drive.
So
it used to have to be saved to the cart, and even that
us old men
even saved to the cart wasn't 100%. Secure.
I remember cassette tapes with a Commodore 64. There was not even close to saving on those things. Just play it and enjoy it, and then fucking do it again.
So Mario, we've discussed this. Mario's 3 years older than I am, but that's what I played. I had the same thing growing up playing Mario because my sister is 3
That's interesting because is there an age gap between you two? How old are you?
33.
You are
25.
Yeah,
I'll be 26 next.
So
month.
that's a 8-year age gap.
But that shows you how powerful Mario. Because you have to think that when you had the kind of the video game. What am I thinking of? The Crash.
I'm going to tilt my head until you answer.
The Crash.
Make
nothing really happened in between there. And it's like Nintendo and Mario brought that back, and that kind of makes sense because unless you played Atari, but then Atari went away, there's nothing. 80s didn't really have.
Nintendo was definitely the renaissance of the in-house console because Atari did well, but Nintendo was like, oh, hold on, this is a really interesting thing.
And that's why.
So how old were you when you got your Nintendo?
I mean, when we first had our NES, I mean, I was.
You got launch day, 1988. I think 88, 85 maybe.
Was that 88?
85. I think.
I was 4 or 5. I remember having it before I was in kindergarten.
Pretty young then.
Yeah. I grew up with video games in the house. I mean, even before we had Nintendo, I remember my grandparents had bought a ColecoVision for us.
What is a ColecoVision? I've never seen
Someone
this.
Explain it.
ColecoVision was essentially the competitor for Atari.
Okay.
I guess is the easiest way to explain it. The controllers looked like calculators because they had number pads on them as well as a joystick. I don't remember what the number pads were used for.
That's kind of how a lot of those consoles started. I remember we went to my
1985. I was right. Sorry, I had to make sure.
My mother-in-law's house. We were cleaning some stuff up in there, and we found this old Texas Instruments console.
Mm-hmm. So Texas Instruments now makes calculators.
Well, they did make calculators then as well, but it was like this there was games and stuff. I mean, it was beat to hell. There was no way we could use it, but at the same time, I was just like, wow, that's kind of interesting that's Texas Instruments used to make consoles. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so NES first, Mario.
What would you classify yourself as? Are you a casual gamer, hardcore gamer, a used to be hardcore gamer, and kind of in relapse?
Used to be hardcore gamer, and missing it. Yeah.
Wow.
But at the same time, like just don't have time for it anymore.
Do you have a current console gen, like PS4, Xbox One?
360.
360. Okay, so your previous generation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Still rocking the Borderlands at the moment.
I played Borderlands for the first time. It's a wonderful experience.
It's still so much fun. I've played it about 4 or 5 times.
It's a
great game.
Half a time.
We what was I going to say? I was going to say, so it's interesting that you say like you don't have time for it and stuff now, because Keegan was pretty much the same. It wasn't so much that he didn't have time, because he has all the time in the world, he doesn't do anything. But
I don't have responsibilities. We've discussed this.
But like
this is a known fact. Outside of work, I don't really have anything I have to take care of.
He grew up as a casual to hardcore gamer very young, and then he was like only playing like Mario games and sports games. And then, you know, when we discussed doing this channel, he's like, that's the first time he played like an adult video game. Like I think it was The Last of Us, wasn't it? It was one of your first ones for a while, aside from like Halo and stuff like that.
I mean, it's weird because I got, like you said, I got really big in Halo, and that's probably the only like AAA game that I played that was not a sports and or Mario game.
Yeah. So when he got into Last of Us and a few other things, he kind of got the bug a little bit. It's okay.
I'm not judging you. I find your affection of Mario so adorable.
Dude, I love Mario. I also get really angry at Mario when Nintendo screws up.
They have a super like Nintendo World or whatever now in like Orlando.
They do. Not yet.
They're
building it.
Yeah.
They're building it. It's
We're
not there
gonna
yet.
have to go there.
And Keegan's going to be there opening day.
I'll be there. It'll be like Miyamoto there. Be like, Miyamoto, you fucked up Mario. What did you do to the Switch? Nah, I mean,
you need to calm down on the Switch.
I think I'm fine. I think it's funny because people like, I love Mario, but I also not afraid to call their Nintendo out on their shit, as people have come to know. I'm a fanboy at heart, but I also, if you don't do it right, I'm gonna
get mad because you love them.
Yes,
right.
It comes from a good place.
Yeah,
I'm not just yelling at them versus Sony. Like, fuck you, Sony.
But yeah, it was really only upon recent times that Keegan got into that type of stuff. So I'm wondering, like, when you go home, like, what do you do? Like, what is holding you back?
Oh, that's fair. I mean, like,
he has a dog.
I have 2.
He has a husband.
Yes.
He has
I have a wife.
He has friends.
He has 2 husbands.
He has friends.
Whenever I was more of a long, like a marathon gamer, I would lose myself in it.
College? Was this college years? Because
I mean, I guess in a way it was. I was in college. I wasn't college age, but I was in college.
Because that's usually, I've learned that's where you find to kind of get that group of people like, we have a fucking day off to do something.
But I would sit there and play every night from 11 to 3 or 4 in the morning.
So what would you play during those years?
Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead, Borderlands.
So a lot of online.
Gotcha. Met a lot of people from across the country that I'm still friends with, actually.
Isn't it weird that that's a thing? Like, there's people. So I booted up my Xbox 360 the other day for the first time. Granted, all the players came over to the Xbox One,
right? And
you just see the list of people. Like, I don't know who this is, but I talked to this guy consistently for 2 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that I've actually met in person that are like from Texas and stuff now. That we're good friends now. Awesome. It's actually pretty cool. But
internet,
yeah, it's kind of become. I think because I know how much I would lose myself in it and play for hours on end, that I don't want to go back to that because I've devoted
you
my
were almost
time to
too
other things.
addicted, and you don't want to do that now, so as to not neglect family and responsibilities and things like that.
That's fine. I would never look at it as addicted. Just I know that I like to play it so much that I would sit down and play it for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Right.
So whenever I do play like Xbox now, I'll stay up late and be like, hey, I'm playing Xbox tonight, and Michael will go to bed early, and
that's fair.
What was the game you remember going and grinding on the most? Like,
Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead.
That's a good game.
And I would destroy.
I played it.
I would destroy some people.
Yeah.
I would absolutely rip
I played it on
apart.
PC with
Shadassel
Show.
That's one thing I never got into is PC gaming. I never had a machine strong enough to support it.
I played a little bit, I guess a couple years ago now. Like, Ark came out, I put over 300 hours in Ark, and like, I enjoy PC gaming. I did that because a lot of my friends were on PCs. Yeah. So to me that's kind of why I did it, but I prefer my controller. I played GTA 5 first on a PC when it came to online. Blue showed it to me. He's like, you can play your PS4
Can you
controller.
do keyboard and mouse?
For gaming?
For gaming, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before.
I can't.
I just don't have a lot of experience with it.
Right. I always have a sucky time trying to use a keyboard and mouse. I'm so.
It all depends on the game. Like, I can never do a shooter on it, but I can do like Ark is a walking simulator in Jurassic Park and like that kind of stuff. I could
probably do like an RTS or something like a.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up playing Wolfenstein Doom and others whose names escape me. But So, I mean, I grew up playing those, so, I mean, I had that experience. But, like, some of the newer ones, I tried doing World of Warcraft, and that was hot, but I just didn't have the machine at the time to really get into
I tried
it.
Playing
Probably
that.
a good thing.
I played that with the Wheezies and with Sarah, and I just couldn't get into that game.
Yeah.
They're into it.
They're hardcore,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I
I've
found
talked
out.
to them a little bit about it, and,
I'm
like, holy shit, man. They are
People that are into like Warcraft and even like some of the other games like RuneScape and things like that, they're like
game.
super. Well, no, those specific ones are like suck your
life
life
Elder
away.
Scrolls is a prime example.
But Elder Scrolls, even that doesn't necessarily have the draw of a game like Warcraft.
Because Elder Scrolls, games like that, they have an end, don't they? Whereas like World of Warcraft doesn't necessarily
Warcraft
have an end.
So the difference is Warcraft is still going on versus Elder Scrolls. It's been games.
Right, yeah.
Versus expansions.
Here's a CD of this chapter of Elder Scroll, whereas World of Warcraft is here's an expansion to keep the game going.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't know, it's I think when you pay for a game like that you put more value in it. Like with ESO, you pay for it once and you're good. Like you can buy the DLC and stuff like that.
Which I have multiple. I've actually bought the game I think 3 or 4 times now.
I've done quite a lot, yeah. But it's but it's a case of when you're playing a game like ESO and it's free and it's also console based, I feel like it doesn't tend to draw as much of an audience as a game like fucking, I don't know, StarCraft or whatever.
The other thing too is you have to keep in mind, at least on consoles, is you're paying to play online versus PC doesn't have to.
Right.
Which I have opinions on that, but
that's
it is
true.
what it is.
But I think if you're dropping $15 a month or whatever on Warcraft, you feel like more obliged to use it.
Yeah, you feel like I can use that money.
Yeah, I mean I really want to play Final Fantasy 14, but I won't pay $13.
That's how it is with ESO. When I do the ESO Plus, like I have a month of this. Let me play as much as I can to get that $15 out.
Exactly.
So I don't lose it.
Yeah, I debated it, but I just like I know
I got it again for when each stream again. Just
I
FYI.
know now that like it was a good idea not to buy it because I don't play it enough to warrant it. Maybe if I bought it for the first 6 months or something, that would have been good.
I bought it again, getting ready for the Morrowind update, which I probably will buy at some point. I don't know if I'll buy it. I
just buy the DLCs. I don't like season passes or anything.
Yeah, everything has. Even fucking Zelda has a season pass now.
Yeah.
Which did you hear? Did you hear the little sidetrack here? Did you guys hear about Zelda's season pass? That you can only get the, I think they call it heroic mode. Is only in the season pass.
What does that even mean?
The hardest mode in the game.
Oh.
Like you cannot, even if you beat the game, doesn't come out of the game.
Smooth.
Guys,
that's a heroic.
Those of you didn't see that. If you're listening, I just knocked my pop filter down with my hat. Those of you saw it, hi. But no, they locked it on the disc. Some of the other stuff I don't mind, like expansion of the story, that's fine, like whatever. But the fact that they locked that to the DLC,
that's an entire game mode that you could throw in there. That's a bit mean. A bit stupid.
It's only $20, so I mean.
$20
for the season pass.
That's not so bad
compared to fucking Star Wars.
It depends on how much they release for that season pass.
That's true. Yeah, I can't see them doing that much. Honestly, can you imagine a Zelda with DLC? It doesn't sound right.
Zelda, the DLC, I believe. Oh, hello there. The DLC is 2 new dungeons, 1 new story area. They don't tell you how many quests are in that area, but 1 new.
That's not terrible.
Section.
I wasn't thinking. I was thinking it'd be way
then
less
the modes,
than that.
and you get special items as any.
I was thinking it'd be like horse armor or something.
No, it's they have that probably, but they give you that's. I mean, not going to season pass tangent, but I think season passes that do that, I'm cool with. Season passes that give you fucking skins, not cool with.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Stupid.
But
that's one of the things that eventually that's one of the reasons I eventually started getting uninterested in continuing gaming too, is like the constant downloadable content. It just got so annoying.
My goal this year is
I already paid $60 for this game.
Yeah.
My goal this year is to not buy a gold edition of any game, which is really hard because I really wanted For Honor because I knew I was going to love that game. But at the same time, I'm like, let me just sit on it. If I want to buy the season pass down the road, it'll go on sale and I can buy it then, or I can buy it piecemeal.
Well, this is the thing that I've learned, and I talked to a few of our friends about this the other day. The fact that around Christmas time there was all these great games that came out. You know, they had your Mafia 3s and other stuff, and I was like, I really want to play these games, but I really don't want to spend $60 on it. Like, I want to play that game, but I just can't warrant it. And less than 2 months later, Mafia 3 is now half price.
Yep.
And I'm just like, they do that with everything these days. Like, there's a flash sale, or there's a GameStop sale, or there's something where the $60 game is suddenly now like $20, $30. Like Star Ocean, I was going to pay $60 for that. That's $20 in GameStop right now.
The only game I'll buy full price, like For Honor, I bought full price because I wanted that game at launch. The Division 2,
yeah, that's
I'll buy
the
that at
only
launch.
reason. Like, if you have to absolutely have it at launch, like the only game that I'm going to do that for that I can think of, but past Resident Evil 7 this year is Mass Effect. respect, because that to me is like that's a proven track record to me. 3 excellent games. I'm definitely going to pick it up day one.
Yes,
but everything else is up for like we talked about Horizon earlier.
Yeah, Horizon's getting great reviews. Now, I think we both want to play it. It's just like
I just can't
are we going to play it for
$60 because it's a single player story. There's not any multiplayer to it. There's no replayability.
Which is why on Friday we have a show for that.
We do.
Starting this week called Bargain Basement. We're going to go through sales, games that are potentially or either $60 games on sale or games that are just cheap.
Yep.
Look that up.
It's going to be fun.
Look at that plug. Do you like that plug?
It was a good plug.
That was a good plug.
Did you put the little blue bar down and everything?
I could.
Right there. Good.
I don't know if have you ever watched one of our podcasts? We have a little blue bar that comes across with the names and all that
special
kind of
bar.
stuff. Yeah. I spent like 2 minutes on that because it was like boop, boop, boop.
He's so proud of
it. And then you just update it.
So you started off with Mario and Nintendo. Bringing it back. Yeah. You started off with Mario and Nintendo. The camera's still good, so we're good. We got 25 minutes, no camera faults yet.
Yes.
So woo! And then you grew up and you played late into the night, 11 till 3. We're talking shooters. We're talking.
Yeah. Were you a Sony, Xbox, or Nintendo?
Yes. I was never a fanboy. Like,
so you don't have any allegiance. Like you don't lean towards one more versus the other.
I follow good game.
Cool.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's expensive sometimes, though.
Yeah, it is. It is because I can't tell you the number of times that I would take systems into GameStop to get another system because
to get $5 out of it towards another system
to get a specific game that I wanted to play.
Right.
Kingdom Hearts is a good example. I actually sold a 360 because I heard such good things about Kingdom Hearts to buy a PlayStation.
Are you going to get a PS4 when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out?
I really want to.
Or are you just hang out? I mean, you have friends.
Right.
They just released a newer-ish version of Kingdom Hearts, didn't they?
Yeah. Which...
It's like a remaster of some kind. Well, the Kingdom Hearts names are the stupidest names for any games on the planet.
It's actually most stupid.
Dream Drop Drama or whatever.
Well, they do the whole like 2.8 and 2. So I mean, I don't know just where each one follows.
Right.
And at this point, I don't care. They're just fun.
Yeah. It's Final Fantasy and Disney.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and they're really button mashy, but they're still. I mean, they're cool. So much fun.
It is.
I'm amazed you
smash things with the
I didn't have a PlayStation growing up. That's why.
Yeah.
And part of me, like, I want to play them on PS4 because they brought them back out, I believe.
I'll probably pick them up, so you'll be able to.
Yeah.
I'll wait for a sale and then I'll pick them up.
The problem I'd run into is I'd have other games that kind of would overshadow.
It's a lot. It's a time dedication, and that's another problem with gaming. I don't have that. That I'm with Jake on, having like not a lot of time in a week to do something. Like literally, the only days I get to play games, the one day that we record, I get to play games or watch games, and then if I'm lucky and I get another day off that's in the week, if it's on the weekend, I don't play games because I'm with my wife.
Right.
But if it's like a Thursday or something, that's me gaming for 8 hours straight. Like that's just
I can tell when you're off when I log into PlayStation. Like, oh, Tom's online.
Yeah, I'll be there all day, and that's the only time I get to do that. Nowadays. Sunday night stream as well, yeah, which is usually a lot of fun. I enjoy those a lot.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, mostly I just like talking about them, and that's what we're doing. So that works out.
Thank you for telling us what a podcast is, Tom.
Yay!
But so, anyways, let's move on to the bonus level.
I never know if it's round or level or like it's a surprise every time.
It's not round. It's either bonus level or bonus question. I can never remember what it is.
One of those three.
It's not really a question though. So we have to preface this. You have a husband. That means you are a gay man.
They may have picked up on that when he said he had a husband earlier.
You're a gay man. One of the reasons I want to bring this...
Is that the bonus question?
That is the bonus question. Are you gay? The answer is yes.
Podcast over. Woo! All right, thanks a lot, guys.
I think I have a ding, ding, ding sound effect. Hold on.
Ding, 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 done. So one of the reasons I kind of want to bring this up with you on it, because I feel like you could talk to it, is recently Overwatch from Blizzard has come out, and Tracer, who is the person on the box art, is one of the main characters, came out as lesbian. They have since come out and said there are other characters... heroes, whatever the hell they called them, that are going to be part of the LGBTQ community.
There's an I on there.
What's the I stand for?
I don't know. I was hoping you.
Put you guys on the spot.
I can't remember anymore.
I can't remember.
So it's LGBTQI.
Because lesbian, bi,
gay, transsexual, queer,
transgender.
Well,
interested? I'm not sure. That's no. By the way, that's no offense to the community. We just generally are. Well, maybe also, the I stands for ignorant.
They also add letters too, like because it used to just be LGBTQ.
Identify.
Right? It was just LGBT.
Yes.
Yeah, they added the Q, and then they added the I.
And I's. I think the I's for people that are like intrigued. Like they don't. It's not that word, but I'm
gonna look it up.
They're in between. Yes, they don't know. They don't know.
I feel like
yet.
it's something we should at least try to get right.
Yeah.
Anyway, while he's looking that up, what's the? Let's proceed.
So, Tracer from Overwatch has come out as a lesbian.
Intersex.
There you
go.
So
and the Q is. That's interesting. There's 2 Qs. There's queer and questioning.
Wow.
They're by. This is directly from the Free Dictionary. So there you go.
There you go. Free
Sorry,
Dictionary.
continue. Tracer got charged.
So Tracer came out, and it's one of those things where again they didn't make. I've talked to you before at work about how I watched a TV show where they didn't make a big deal about this character in the show having 2 dads. Same thing here. Like this character, they've hinted and they've said they're gonna have gay characters, but they didn't say who was going to be, what the story was going to be, and they kind of just one day on a comic on their website said the way she came out was she was kissing another female and then went to a party with her and they were dating, and that's it. Like they didn't explain it. The guys online was like, yeah, there's more to come. Like that's it.
You mean they weren't in a porno movie?
They were not in a porno movie.
So they actually had normal life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
And she was not with another one of the characters.
She didn't like prance out of a U-Haul or anything.
She wasn't Rosie Riveter or whatever her name is. Is that her name, Rosie?
That was.
Rosie
it was.
Riveter?
Good job.
Yeah. Was she gay? She's got to be gay.
She was not.
Really?
She was not.
Wow.
I don't know.
I stereotyped real bad right there.
It's okay. It's okay. We forget.
But no, I want to get your opinions on kind of like the gay community and how you think it's perceived in games. Like, do you think it's... We've talked a little bit before about minorities and how we feel they're a lot of the time stereotyped or maybe misstereotyped because the people who are making the games are not part of that community.
Sure.
So, what does it mean to have a main character for... Obviously, you can't speak for the whole gay community. You can give your opinion on it, but what does it mean for you as a...
You didn't know Jacob was king of the gays?
Yeah, he's king of the gays.
That's why we got him here, right?
Right. I mean... I feel like I'm misrepresented now.
Yes.
The crown's in the car, but we'll bring it.
It's like a Burger King crown.
Next time. Yeah.
You're the Burger King crown. But no, how as somebody who's gay, and let's be honest, they're not as represented as well as straight white men in video games.
Right.
What does it mean to have a gay lead character that people love?
Do you play Overwatch?
Yeah. Have you ever played Overwatch?
Because
I sent
two things.
I told you about it.
Like you said, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
2, I've never played Overwatch.
Okay.
But because of this conversation, I have read about it and read about the character just because I didn't want to come in completely ignorant on the topic.
Which is what we do.
So like, it's pretty cool to hear that there's a company that is putting this out there.
A massive company at that.
Right. Not even any company, but just a well-known company.
Yes.
Putting it out there and making sure they're doing it in a way that's not stereotypical. They're not doing it in a way to make a spectacle out of it either. It's just, hey, there's this character and this is part of who she is.
It's just backstory.
Right. It's just like every other character's backstory. It's more everyone in society that's making it an issue than anything, which is actually kind of what our society is becoming anyway. When more actors and athletes and things are coming out, it's more our media that are making it a story, which is actually how it should be going. The direction it should be going is we should be coming out of the idea of this is a big deal to it's no longer a big deal.
Right.
That is that's the pattern it should be going.
So a couple years ago, not to cut you off, but a couple years ago on YouTube, there was I pretty much was the year of the gays. Like we had probably the 10, 20 top YouTubers come out, and people that the one I won't forget, her name is Miss Glamorazzi, Ingrid. She's a makeup person, and she came out, and I remember watching her videos back in the day. She had boyfriends, like you didn't think anything of it, and then she came out in this emotional video. Like I've never seen somebody so vulnerable doing that, and I can't comprehend what it's like because I've not had to deal with it, and I will never have to deal with it because
never say never.
Never say never. But I don't really know where I was going with that, but it's just one of those things where I feel like, as we've talked in private a few times about it, and how the generational gap, when I told you and you talked to Michael about how like not having a big deal with having 2 dads in that episode was a interesting thing. To me, that's normal. My brother's 8.5 years younger. That's normal to him.
Right. Whenever we were talking about that cartoon, how they
it's Loud House,
they
by the way, if you guys
it,
want to look it up.
when they designed it, or they wrote that episode where they finally introduced that character with two dads, I was explaining that to Michael, and he couldn't understand how... He could understand it, but at the same time, he had trouble seeing how they could just make a children's cartoon with a character with two dads, and it was just kind of a normal thing.
Yeah.
So he was weirded out by it?
Not weirded out, but he didn't know how it could just be kind of a normal part of the story.
Right.
Without it being like a big deal. Because coming from... He's... For everyone listening, he's older than me. He comes from a previous generation. So he was around during the scare. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's the big thing. Yeah, when it was much more difficult to come out. I mean, it was much more taboo. I mean, so to actually have two dads on a TV show was not a thing that you saw on TV at all. So to have a cartoon where it was just part of a story, to have a video game where it's just part of the character's backstory, to have that just be a natural aspect is becoming much more commonplace.
Do you think that's the key to it? Because there's a lot of instances where it is like they do draw attention to it. So like with Rockstar, they had their DLC, which is the Ballad of Gay Tony. And the fact that they had to put Gay Tony in there was, I mean, they did treat it, to be fair, to Rockstar. They did treat it with a lot of kind of kid gloves, and
but also Rockstar's been known to do a lot of stereotyping,
and they
just
are
because of games in general.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I remember with the Ballad of Gay Tony, even I remember that specifically. That was his street name too, wasn't it? I mean, he was called Gay Tony,
right?
So it wasn't that they did that to specify he was gay.
Yeah,
like that's just what he was called on the street.
Right.
So, I mean, they probably did that two birds with one stone, but at the same time, they worked it in there as that was his character.
Right.
So, I mean...
And it was a very successful DLC.
It was.
Like, a lot of people really enjoyed that story, and getting to sort of have a slight insight into that sort of world vicariously through Gay Tony.
Well, you know, and with Overwatch, I think they've done it a very natural way, but there have been characters in video gaming history since the 80s. Now... They were horribly represented, but not all of them were.
Yes.
I mean,
can you think of some examples?
In the 80s, no. That the ones that weren't horribly represented didn't really exist in the 80s.
Fun fact: we actually wanted Jake to play a game called Escape from Pleasure Planet, and we couldn't get the key for it.
I so wanted to.
I want to find that game. It looks hysterical. It was
specifically for the part that you told me about, where there was a guy and a horse in a hot tub together.
That's what got me. I was like, I need to show this to Jake.
But there was. I remember there's. Do you remember the game Bully?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Rockstar.
It was a fun game. I didn't think it was particularly a great game, but I enjoyed it.
I liked it.
One thing I do remember is that when you were the kid, the bully, you could get like friendship points or whatever they're called, or experience points, by going around and kissing girls. But you could go around and kiss on boys too, and it was never a thing. And whenever that happened, like the first time I played that game, I was like, this isn't a thing. And I mean, I was already out. I was with a partner for like 6.5 years. So I mean, it wasn't necessarily like a big moment for me, but it was just like
nice.
I was just like, this isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like in a video game. So it was just kind of weird to see that.
And we've talked about before, like what's weird to me is Mass Effect. If you have Elder Scrolls, like if it's different races that aren't humans, fucking do whatever the hell you want, but as soon as you make it a human, it's
that's actually something that's interesting that you mentioned, because Mass Effect does a pretty good job of that, as far as dealing with that. But really, one of the games by the same company, Dragon Age, has always so Dragon Age, very similar.
I want it. I know what it is.
It's a BioWare game, and BioWare does conversation very well. When you go and talk to other characters, there's always like
which are working on Star Wars right now,
which means something. But for Dragon Age, that was the first time that I recall playing a video game and being like, oh, you can romance a dude, and like they didn't make anything of it. It wasn't like this big deal, or like a cartoony, like if you've ever seen like Japanese anime represent gay people, it's like the worst thing in the world.
Right.
They're always like so over the top and just but BioWare did it in such a way that it was just like, it was genuine, it was heartfelt, like you didn't feel like they were making a big deal out of it, and you could quite happily go through the entirety of one of those games as a gay character, and they would like, all the cutscenes that involve like sex or kissing or anything like that were all like perfectly in view. There was no censorship. It was all like really, really well done. And that was one of the first times I got sort of, you know, a game that I was like, you know what, fucking good for you that they went ahead and did that. And they did get a backlash. I feel like everything gets a backlash because it's just such a touchy subject.
Going to.
I mean, even with games like, if you remember with Star Wars, when The Force Awakens, when they found out the main Jedi character was going to be a black dude, there was a boycott of the movie.
It was
horrendous. And it's a similar principle. It's just like part of it, I guess, is just what people are used to. They're used to growing up with straight white men as their leads. They're like super muscly dudes.
Maybe flip it to female if you're lucky.
Women that have armor, which is like less clothing than when they don't have armor.
Which makes no sense.
And then, you know, so it's kind of like, it's almost like they took a trope of video games, and then they were just like, you know what, fuck it. It's the 21st century. We can do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
And I think it scares a lot of people, a lot of straight white men.
Yeah.
Mostly because I feel like it's definitely generational, which is the same with all of our politics and everything. And we won't go on a politic tangent, but it's definitely a generational thing when you see these people coming out in support of minorities, in support of LGBTQI, or any of that stuff.
Please don't add more letters to that.
He's the king. He can tell them to hold off on the letters. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, but I do think it's definitely generational, and it's actually amazing that you say that Michael was just kind of like, like we could do that now. I remember also, and this I think was a pretty huge one, was Modern Family. Because Modern Family was maybe a couple years old.
My sister watched it, and I've watched it, but
well, they have two very, very prominently gay characters. Weirdly enough, only one of them is gay in real life, and it's the least gay of the two that are in the show.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, which is really kind of amazing when you watch it. But again, they had the same treatment. They come out with two gay characters. They definitely do have a little bit of flamboyancy to some of them, but at the same time, they never make a big deal out of it. It's like, this is the family.
But I'm sure you know people like that. You know. Like, that's the other thing is with anything in life, like, we all are some sort of stereotype.
One of the things that I liked about Modern Family, I don't watch the show necessarily, but I've seen some episodes just here and there. And one of the things that I always appreciated about that couple, who's, I can't remember the character's name,
Mitch and Cam.
There we go.
You're welcome.
is they had that flamboyancy about them, but it's done in such a natural way because most gay guys I know have at least a little bit of that flamboyancy. Not all, but most of them that I know, at least in the privacy of their own home, because it's not necessarily a feminine quality. It's a level of comfort where they can just relax, and that's what it is. And then it's whenever they're around their friends or at work or just out in public, when they necessarily put up a wall where they don't act that way. And that's how Modern Family portrays them. And that's what I really appreciate about the show, is they portrayed that aspect of their characters.
So when they're
more
at home,
naturally,
they're more like that, as opposed to when they're out.
Right, when they're with their close friends on that show. And I'm not saying they portray it like that all the time, but I noticed that in a few episodes where when they're out in public, they're not necessarily really flamboyant, but when there's just the two of them, they are a little bit of more of a ham to each other. Right. And that's really how I know personally. I know I am a lot. Whenever I'm at home just with Michael, my walls are completely down. Right. And I'm a lot more of a ham with him because I have no walls.
I feel like that'd be an entertaining show right there.
It's ridiculous. But, so, I mean, that's one of the things I really appreciate about how they portrayed them specifically in the media.
Have you seen the documentary? I think it's on Netflix or Hulu. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list. It's called Do I Sound Gay? Or something like that.
I think I've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen
it popped up, and I'm like, okay, it's on my list of things to watch, because it's interesting, the premise that I think is the guy broke up with his boyfriend for however many years, and is like the portrayal of gay people, because we assume from television and media and all that, do you have that flamboyancy to you, and that's not always the case. Like, there's people at work, like Chad. I had no idea, because that's not what I was taught what a gay man should look like, which is false, because you look no different than Tom. I mean, other than you're an English fat man.
I mean, he's way prettier than I am. But other than that,
you know what I'm saying though. Like, It was ingrained in my brain that you have to look a certain way to be a gay person. You have to look a certain way to do this.
This is something that we touch on a little bit with the podcast. So let me preface this because Keegan grew up in a very what we would call a bubble.
I grew up. I'm the stereotypical rich white kid that didn't have anything around.
Absolutely,
me.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that.
You have a heart of gold, which is the difference. Is that you didn't stay in that bubble when you came out of that bubble and you met other people and other minorities. It was
an eye-opening experience.
He's absorbed it. He's grown from it immensely. I mean, it's quite obvious.
And there's still like moments I think when you can be taken aback by something, which is just like I guess like an internal instinctual thing, and I could see it sometimes. But at the same time, like you make such an effort to be a good human, and that's like really. You're welcome. It's a really respectable quality.
See, he's nice to me sometimes.
Don't get used to it.
I give him a lot of shit, but I like the guy. So my mom did much the same for me, and she's passed away now. She passed away in 2011, but when I was growing up, she was the one that distilled all of that in me, and we didn't grow up rich at all. But she was always like, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter anything about him. And she's the person that kind of instilled that in me so that I grew up, even though I was in a small primarily white dude town. I think we had like one black family, two Indian families, and that was it in this 10,000 population town. It was like Hickville, and in England too, which is
English Hicks.
Yeah, so English Hicks are almost worse than your guys' Hicks. So it was interesting. Do you
want to see this now?
That's not to say that there was no like racism and there was no homophobia.
You're never gonna live in a world where you don't have any of that,
right? Exactly, ever. And especially like nowadays. I mean, it's all over the damn place. Yeah. But at the time, I got instilled in me those values very early on, which made it very easy to sort of deal with that reality when it hit me, and I didn't like so. It wasn't really until I spent time in America, which is a lot more of a variety of people than where I came from, that I met gay people and black people and like people that I just never really had interactions with.
Where we work now is the first time that because I never really talked to Alex. Like, I knew who Alex was. I didn't really talk to him. Alex is the only gay kid that was in my school. He just wasn't in my circle of friends. Where we work now is the only time I think I can remember actually talking to gay people knowingly, like they've been out and all that. So to me, that's really weird. I went to school in Mississippi. I went from New York to Mississippi.
Ole Miss.
One of the moments I realized things were, and this is no knock on Mississippi because I feel like Mississippi gets a bad rep because of this, because it does exist, but it's not the whole state. Like anything, you can't brush the whole state with one stroke. But I moved into my dorm my freshman year, and there was a guy down the hallway that refused to stay in the dorm with this guy because he was a gay black man. He used a couple different words, but that's when my dad and my mom turned to me at the time, and they're like, "Do you want to be here?" And I was like, because again, I wasn't against it. I just hadn't had to experience anything like that or gay people in general. Like, as you guys know, I just didn't do it. The same thing with race. It never was a thing that I had to deal with, and now it's gotten to the point where it's something not that I have to deal with.
St.
It sounds
Louis
bad.
will make you deal with that shit real fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in a place where.
But it's also an awesome thing because I think if I hadn't moved here, think about how different I would be. My sister at one point, I'm gonna go on a tangent slightly here, as I already have.
Podcast, do what you want.
My sister, when I dropped out of college after 2 years, and one of the guys we used to work with is a gay man, and my sister asked me because I'm a religious person. She goes, do you think Ryan's going to hell? And at this point, I was so screwed up in my head. Like, I was like, yeah, of course, because that's the religious answer. Like, of course he is. Like, this is wrong. And the more I think about it, the more I talk to people like you. I talk to, as much as I give Chad shit, the more I talk to Chad, the more I talk to these people and get their side of things. Like, they're human beings. It's weird to say. I know, but like to me, it's that moment of like.
It is a moment of clarity.
Yeah,
for someone that grew up in that way, I think. Did you ever have like, so if you don't mind me asking,
you're fine.
What age were you when you realized?
About 11 or 12.
Okay. So you were not like right from the get-go, like.
That's when I started, like...
That's when you started to have feelings, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, to be for real, yeah. I mean, that's when I started to like, think about it and, like...
Did you fight it?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in a very religious house. Not like staunch religious, but most of my family is right-wing Republican.
I loved your Facebook post. I'm not going to repeat what it said, but it was really cool to read.
Which...
The one about your mom and you disagreeing, but agreeing to disagree?
That Beth posted?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. With her project?
Yeah. That was really cool to read.
Yes, so I grew up in a Republican house, American Baptist. So
was that in Missouri?
Illinois.
Okay.
So just on the other side of the river. So in the area. But anyway, so grew up in a religious house, and so grew up being taught that homosexuality was a sin. And so up until I was 18, essentially fighting it, battling it, praying to change.
So from like 11 to 18.
Yeah.
Gay camp. I remember people flyers for gay camp.
Conversion therapy.
This is
kind of
stupid.
And just dealing with that, and having an open dialogue with some people about it. Some camp counselors, summer camp counselors that I would go to, that I would feel comfortable talking about it, but no one ever close enough to where I could have a constant conversation about it.
So when was the first time you met a gay person? Aside from
yourself. You looked in the mirror.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I've never thought about that.
Because we think about Keegan and we think about the first time he does it. It's like a whole thing.
Well, because I went to high school with someone who was out.
Okay.
So I mean, I grew up in a town with someone who was a couple years older than me, who was out.
Was he victimized?
He was never. To my knowledge, never physically victimized or
Just
never physically assaulted.
And bullying.
A lot of emotional damage probably done to him. And I will fully admit by myself as well. I mean, we were in theater together, and there were times where I wouldn't say I harassed him, but I was not kind to him.
We were all dicks back in the day.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were kids for sure.
So you were at this point knowing that you were perhaps gay yourself.
Yeah.
But you were still kind of picking on this kid a little bit.
Yeah. Taking out my own aggressions on him. Absolutely. Right. He was definitely the target of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I've actually he lives in St. Louis now. I actually have seen him since then, and he's great. I mean, he's a sweetheart. Seen him out at bars and stuff since then. And
did you talk about it?
What has happened in the past? Yeah, we've made amends. Absolutely.
That's great.
And
I don't know if you know my backstory, but I used to be a complete dick, and I did the same thing when I graduated high school.
Used to?
I mean, I'm not as much as I used to be.
Well, I mean, I think that everyone who has
and
like problems as a kid finds someone who's dealing with similar problems and takes it out on them so they don't have to deal with it themselves. I mean, that's the nature of being a bully.
Yeah.
You find someone with similar problems to focus
I was trying to put up this image of being a jock. And I clearly am not. I mean, I was, but I wasn't at the same time. Like, I played sports. I was an all-state athlete, but at the same time,
your heart.
That's not who I want to hang with. So
you've had a lot of demons that you've had to deal with, different types of demons. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. I
mean, you grew up religious and then sort of, moved away from that, moved towards it again. You had your own dealings
a lot of things
that you had to do. So it's interesting. But you're still religious. It's fair to say.
I still listen to my Christian music.
Still listen
Actually,
to
I saw Skillet the other day.
And but I think it's fair to say that you're on the side of, I guess, Christianity that is open and accepting of all other denominations.
Yes, it's love. Love trumps anything.
Second, New Testament, not Old Testament.
Yes.
Right? There you go. So you grew up super religious. Old Testament, religious.
New Testament.
New Testament. Still.
New Testament. Yeah.
So it was still supposed to be spreading the Jesus.
Supposed
love.
to be.
Right.
Supposed to be.
So much.
They still like to pull out the Old Testament when it suits them.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fire and brimstone every once in a while.
Isn't that convenient? That's special.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always one of my problems. My Sunday school teachers and I never got along because I was always the first one with my hands up in Sunday school class asking questions.
right.
I grew up just like
or one of them.
I'm just like my mom. I argue with everything, and still to this day, which is why I do well and don't do well on Facebook, because I will argue with anybody. So
You're usually quite insightful in your Facebook posts. I will say that, because there's lots of people that do argue, and you're like, you probably didn't need to go there, but I feel like you wait That's something
you think about what you say.
You're not a constant flow of. You're not a constant flow of verbiage. You're just like you'll wait for a time to be like, okay, now I say something. And
it's taken me a while to learn how to do that. There's a lot of almost posts on my notes app, right? Of things that I almost put on Facebook, and it's like, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to take a day and think about this, and then I probably didn't post it. But done that. Yeah, I grew up in a church where it was mainly New Testament, sometimes Old Testament when it suited them, but mainly New Testament. And I mean, it's, I still go back to that church whenever I visit mom and dad, because if they ask me to for a holiday or something.
As a religious person, this is one of the things I personally have an issues with is the bashing of religion for all gay people. Like, it's not religion, it's the people that are in that religion.
Absolutely.
So again, painting that broad stroke, like when I tell people I'm religious, I get one of two reactions.
It's a convenient excuse.
Yeah, I get, oh, sweet, or ooh. And I was like, I'm not the ooh, I don't think.
One thing, and my parents and I have had this discussion as well in the last few years, that this wasn't fun, but I've since left religion.
And
I've come to my own. Yeah, I've come to my own terms with that. But one thing that I've always told them is that I respect their religion, and I do understand the fact that everyone's religion is private. And that's one thing I will always respect, is if you have a private religion, that is you. That is your private decision. But it's also my private decision to not have one.
I'm similar to you.
So...
And if your private religion tries to inflect public opinion
exactly
on me,
that's usually when it becomes an issue.
That's when it's a problem.
And if you're making your religion public, then I'm allowed to push back on it because you've made it public.
That's why I'm like I said I'm openly saying it on the podcast. Like, it's something I don't have an issue telling people I'm religious, and as long as they let me explain that I'm not that big.
That's how all of his conversations start. I'm religious, but let me explain.
But
there's more to come.
Yes, more to come. But no, I don't know. I feel like, because it's true with anything. Again, the whole I think it comes down to, when it comes to acceptance of anything, is brushing with a broad stroke on anybody or any topic.
There are assholes in every single subculture.
Yes, like Westboro Baptists. I think they are the scum of the earth. They use my religion to preach what they're doing, and I'm like, no.
You know what I have to say about them, though, which is, this is going to be semi-controversial.
Is
that they
stick to what they say.
They fucking do. Like, they read that book and they go by every single letter of that book, and
which is the problem.
Which is definitely the problem.
Which is the problem.
Definitely the problem. But at the same time, there are instances where people cherry pick the things that suit them the most, like you said with Old Testament.
I know I do it sometimes.
There's people that will condemn gay people, but at the same time get a tattoo and eat shellfish and mix their fabrics together, and it's like, well, it says here that but this stuff, that's silly. I like shrimp. So it's kind of weird, the cherry picking aspect of it. But at the same time, like, I think that as long as you're getting what you need to get out of it, and it makes you a better person in any way, then good for you.
Yes.
But
do you ever watch West Wing? The
West Wing? I've not seen, actually.
There's a line. There's a line in that show. I'll paraphrase. A character simply said, I do believe in the Bible, but I don't think anyone on this earth is intelligent enough to understand what any of it means.
Right.
And I think that it's absolutely explains religion.
Yeah.
I think that that's what faith is.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to have faith in a religion, then that's what it is about how it touches your heart. And that is what faith is supposed to be. That is what religion is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So if you're going to believe in a God, any God, then it's going to be about how that God touches your heart and what that heart looks like, how it feels in your heart. So that's what's going to be.
It's interesting. Like, I rarely talk about it that much, but obviously you may or may not know I'm an atheist, and there's an interesting kind of side aspect to that, because a lot of people view. Everyone is agnostic. Let's just say that to begin with. You can be religious, but you have to be an agnostic religious person, because no one actually fucking knows, and that's the definition of agnostic.
That's not true.
I don't know.
I know.
You don't know.
I know everything.
Well,
I know you're going to preach at me in the next 20 seconds.
I'm not. Well, I'm not going to preach. I'm going to anti-preach. So everyone technically is agnostic, because no one actually fucking knows, but they're agnostic and they lean one way or the other. And there's some people that'd be like, okay, I'm an agnostic theist, or I'm an agnostic atheist. That's a fucking mouthful. But when it comes down to it, you're making a decision at that point. So if you're saying I'm atheist as opposed to saying I'm agnostic, you're basically saying, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that there's not.
So the phrase that I was grown up or was taught growing up was if I'm wrong, I'm fine. I had lived a great life. If you're wrong, you're going to hell.
Pascal's wager.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah. But so with that being said, it's interesting how we're talking about kind of like minorities and things like this. I actually read something the other day that was saying that atheists, believe it or not, are one of the most hated sub-communities of the entire of America. And it's largely through similar things. It's like people saying, what if you're an atheist, you can't have any morals? Why don't you just go around murdering and raping everyone? You know, and it's kind of this, why do you eat babies? That type of stuff. This is real. I'm not joking. People,
it's how you gain power.
It is how you gain power. But aside from that, it's interesting, and there's kind of there's actual like unenforceable laws in certain parts of the country. Oops, sorry, Mike. Where you cannot be an atheist and hold office. And there's people that said that they would trust a gay Muslim black man as a president over an atheist as a president. Like there's this kind of crazy hatred towards this as a subsect of people. And you know, I'm sure that as again generationally, as we move on and we go forward, there's going to be more and more of that and less of the other as old white people die off. But it's interesting.
I don't blame, like my grandma will say some shit that I would never say in my life, but that's also how she grew up. You have to understand that's where she's from. That was normal versus what we think's normal nowadays is not what's normal back then and what's not going to be normal in the future. There could be something along the road that we're going to be those old people and be like, what is this? Like, there's going to be something that we don't agree with that's going to happen, and we're going to give our opinions on it, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, and we're going to look back on it and be like, well, we might be dead instead of looking back on it, but it'll be one of those moments where you don't realize you're in it when it's going on.
Right.
So,
and I think technology's done a lot of that as well for the generational gap divide. It's just that now you have technology. I mean, let's be honest. If you have your eras, right? Your Ice Age, your Stone Age, all that stuff. We are in the technological age.
Right.
This technology has advanced so much from the 80s to now that it's
only 30
indistinguishably, like, exponentially growing. So you have, if you think about something as simple as just the creation of the internet all the way through to now that we have our own radio show on the internet where there's a camera and there's microphones.
I had a moment earlier, the fact that I could turn on Do Not Disturb on my watch and it went to my phone and did the same function. I was like, I don't know why that blew me away, but I was like, holy shit, that was cool.
I remember holding a Nokia phone, looking at it and thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could see the person I was talking to?
They're bringing those back.
I saw that. That's incredible, isn't it? I might get one just for nostalgia, but
if you break it, they're going to give you a full refund.
That's
all $65.
Yeah.
So I remember having those thoughts of like, wow, like what would happen if I could see this other person? And then now, like,
FaceTime,
I think about FaceTime, and I can FaceTime my dad from across the fucking ocean if I wanted to.
Exactly.
And we're at a point where there are certain people that adapted that or are on the curve of that grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And
my parents are a prime example of that. Like my mom gets frustrated by technology because she can't keep up easily with it, but she understands it.
Right.
And understands the use of it and understands why it's doing what it's doing. She just gets mad when she can't figure out the specifics of how to use it.
And that's fine. And there's a lot of people that at least try.
Yes.
Like, we know from, our daily lives that there are people of certain ages that are very comfortable with technology and that put the time in to learn about it and therefore do not feel left behind. If anything, they are enriched by it because they can go to quilting.net and learn out how to make, a quilt or whatever the fuck it is they want to do. And
YouTube and search how to make a quilt.
Right, YouTube, anything. Like, how do I do? YouTube is like the best how do I do website in the world.
It's the number 2 search engine in the world. Number 1 being Google.
Absolutely, yeah. So that being said, I think that a lot of it comes from, it's obviously generationally, but technology is a big divide in that, because for the people that did not grow up with that or refuse to understand that, they don't understand why things aren't like the idyllic 50s that they have in their head.
I think I'm more surprised when somebody our age isn't. I had worked with somebody a few years ago that was our age, my age, maybe a year or two younger than me, that did not understand technology, and I was like, how have you lived? Like, not
what even are you?
Yeah, not like being like, but it's so prominent now. I'm like, if it was kind of a fearful thing of like, you're going to fall behind and you're going to be screwed.
Well, think about as well what that's done for minority groups.
Right.
So, I mean, there are people that grew up in small towns that maybe had no idea that anyone else in their town was gay or whatever. And they now have meeting places that they can go to, boards they can discuss with. There's a lot of teenagers
Twitter
that I'm sure
is a
get
big
a
one.
lot out of having access to other people that have similar opinions.
Well, they now have the capability. I mean, think of high schools in small towns like mine who, I mean, kids can now go online to create LGBT clubs now at schools because they have that capability of going online to reach out and find other people to help them form those clubs.
And the opposite is true, too. You will get a lot of cyberbullying, and you will get a lot of people creating hate clubs and things like that.
And it's easier because there's no face to it.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Anonymity is one of the stalwarts of the asshole online, but it's... But I think it's kind of partially because of this connected generation, this generation of people that very easily can get together in groups, find people of a similar ilk or whatever it is.
And you're like, I'm not the only one.
Right, and
that's true for anything.
You know, when we were talking about Michael is from a different generation where maybe some of that was not accessible to him at the time, and he had to probably do things the hard way. And there's a lot of differences in that. It does fascinate me though that you went from like 11, 12 to 18 just kind of fighting it and just kind of like. So what was the moment where you were just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. I'm ready to
when I was
shout from the rooftops.
Lost Profits.
Like when I
bad example.
When I pranced out of the closet, like confetti flying
with your Judy Garland spins,
candles all set up,
red pumps on and everything.
Listening to Cher.
When I turned 18, I moved out of my parents' house, went to SIUE with a few of my friends, and lived on campus with one of my best friends as roommates against my parents' wishes. Not because they thought it was a bad idea, but because if I lived at home, they would have paid for my community college.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is a better idea, and chances are I probably would have completed school, but I was like, but I want to live on my own, because that's still to this day how I am. I'm more of a private person, and I'm like, I want to get out of my parents' house.
Right.
As he says everything on a public podcast.
Right, exactly. Right. And so whenever I got out on my own finally, I was able to branch out. I was on a college campus. I met an LGBT club. I started dating someone. And so I branched out of my hometown and actually met people.
So you got educated.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I got educated. So I got out of my normal circle. I still had my friends that I grew up with who were still a comfort to me, most of them.
I was gonna say, they probably had...
Most of them. There were a couple that were no longer friends, and that's fine. And from that, I was like, okay, this is who I am. It's not the person who at that point was sinking farther into a depression and into a hole of just like, I don't know who I am. It's this person who is confident and knows who he is.
Was it like something you thought about every second of every day, or was it just something that came up occasionally and you battled with it in pieces, or was it just like a consistent shadow hanging over you at that point?
It was a consistent shadow, but it wasn't necessarily something that I was always thinking about.
Gotcha.
It was, I mean, as a teenager, all you think about is sex.
Very influential years.
Yeah. So I mean, all you think about is sex as a teenager. So not only are you always thinking about sex, but whenever you're always thinking about that, and when you're always thinking about it, you're raised to what you're thinking about is wrong.
Right.
The way you're thinking about it is wrong. So in that aspect, every time I would think about it, it's like, no, don't think about it that way.
Was it because you were afraid of like something like hell, or was it more so?
Oh no, that's, you don't even have to ask the rest of the question. That's
Fire
why.
and brimstone.
That's why. And I actually still have several poems that I wrote about it in some of my old notebooks.
If you want to share them with us, we will put them on Instagram, and so people can see from your viewpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, it's
do it.
I can
Emperor
drag one of them
Palpatine's
out.
out. Do it.
But yeah, I mean that's absolutely wise, is because of the religion I was raised in, and you know, I mean, I know there are times whenever I came out to my parents, I was kind of forced into coming out because a couple people from my hometown found out.
Gotcha.
And they started spreading the news, and a couple of my friends tried to get them to stop.
Which is,
bless their hearts.
To me, that's I guess it's gossip in general. If anything would happen.
Oh, it's gossip. It's shitty gossip.
Yeah.
It's disgusting that they don't allow you to do that on your own terms.
Yeah.
In a way, though, sometimes it can feel like
at the same time,
like a motivator.
They were teenagers,
right?
So teenagers just do stupid things, you know. So
real dumb.
We're in our 30s now, so there's no hard feelings about it. But at the same time, at the time, it was the worst thing that was happening in my life,
right?
You know. But at the same, as you said, it's also a motivator.
Yeah.
So I told my parents, and it was horrible.
Really,
it was absolutely horrible. But it also could have been a lot worse with a lot of the people that I know in the gay community and how their coming outs had gone. I'm very lucky. My parents and I still have very close relationships. They're two of my close friends, and they love me and I love them. And so, I mean, I'm very lucky.
Did it take them... How long did it take them to kind of get used to the idea?
A while. They've always, still to this day, they make a very clear distinction between...
accepting you versus...
Exactly.
Yeah.
What their religion will allow to accept me and loving me.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine.
So are they like uncomfortable with Michael around you?
No, not at all. Not at all. They love Michael.
That's great.
They came to our wedding. My previous partner, who I was with for almost 7 years, they loved him.
They just don't approve of it.
So
yeah,
after
they can never accept it because of their religion
publicly.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
Privately, they're
but I mean, they will, even in public though, they will spend time with us, and I mean, they're very, very loving of him.
That's
so
great.
I mean, that's perfectly fine. I would never push them to go beyond what they're comfortable doing, and they would never. There was a time when they would try to. When I first came out, where they'd be like, "Have you read this in the Bible? Have you?" I'm like, "I dealt with this for 7 years on my own.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I read it. You know." And
are you sure you didn't see that part about the no gays?
It's like
it's in there somewhere.
I'm pretty sure I went through the index where it said homosexuality.
The glossary,
right? And we had our headbutting, where it's like, you know, this is me, and accept me or not, and had all that jazz. But
that's crazy. So like. The family I grew up in, my mom, my dad wasn't really home, so I can't speak because he was home, but he wasn't home, as we know he traveled a lot. But my mom, one of the things she said to me, my mom asked me if I was gay at some point in my life, because she's totally fine with it. Again, it's one of those things where I didn't have to deal with it. And two, I think you'll get kicked. I don't know if you've told you the story before, but the way she asked me was, first she asked me, we were sitting at the table eating dinner. And it's because I was hung around girls. Like, I was always with girls. That's just the way it was. She's like, "Are you gay?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Do you want anything up your butt?" And I was like, "No."
Nice.
That's how she asked. That's literally how my mom asked me.
That's classy, Mom.
But my mom...
Not attacked there.
Yeah.
Right. That's classy.
But then we... So
right to the point.
Come on, Sandy.
So that was weird at first, but then we've had conversations about it, and it's really interesting hearing her perspective on things, because it's kind of like... I feel it's kind of like what your parents were saying, where she's religious as well. So it's not like... She would accept me and she would love me, or she'd love me. I don't know how much she would accept it.
Right.
But she also said to me, she goes, if you ever were to come out, or if your brother was to come out, or if your sister was to come out, you are still part of this family.
Right.
Can't guarantee about anybody else, but I can guarantee you will be still part of
Hate
our
the
family.
sin, love the sinner, that whole thing.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's interesting to hear that perspective, because I know, like I said, my family's, again, my dad, I think, would be the one who had an issue with it, because he's a little bit more conservative than my mom.
When my dad was actually, the night I told my parents, my dad was actually the one that was easier to talk to than my mom.
Did you stay at their house that night, or did you go somewhere else?
I stayed at their house. I almost left, but they asked me to stay.
Because I could see that being like...
Yeah, I almost left because of how uncomfortable it got. Not because of an anger or anything, but just because I was very uncomfortable. So I was like, I'm going to go
not knowing
back
what
to
they're
my
actually
dorm.
thinking,
Right.
kind of stuff. Like, okay.
But my dad convinced me to stay, which was fine. But my dad was always our youth leader and everything growing up at our church. So I think that's why it was so much easier to talk to him about it after that. But yeah.
I wonder what it's like on their end, you know? Like, because I've never really had that thought of like being... I don't know. I always just considered that if I ever lucky enough to have children, if they came out, it wouldn't be a big deal. But to people that their entire lives, like, it's because here's another thing. So this is what do you know Penn Jillette?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So
Penn and Teller.
Yeah, exactly. So Penn Jillette said, and this is one that's always stuck with me. He's like, I understand the religious mind. He said, what they're seeing is from what they understand and what they believe and all that. They see you basically walking in front of a bus. So they love you for whatever reason it is. You're their friend or their kid or whatever. They love you and they see you walking out into the street in front of a bus. And to them, they would do anything to save you from that bus, to push you out of the way of that bus. Because as in their minds, that is absolutely what is happening and there's no possible alternative. So for a family that has that opinion, and they think that if you say I'm gay or if you say I'm an atheist or whatever, and their instant switch flick is, oh my God, my kid's going to hell. Right. Like for them, they would do anything they could under the sun to try and avoid you from going under that bus. So there is very much a lot of love that goes into that, but at the same time, they cannot comprehend it from the viewpoint of people that don't see the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people who don't see the bus just see someone crossing the street.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an interesting thing that Penn Jillette came up with. So.
I have a wrap up for you. We talked about this before.
We're going to talk about video games anymore?
Yeah, full circle.
Okay,
wrap up. If you could make a video game with and I told you to think about this, so hopefully you did.
Yes, I do play video games. I'm not just a gay man.
if you could make a video game that encompasses what you believe are the right things to show off about the gay community, whether you tell us like type of game is it open world, like what would you put into this game? Go.
Okay. I actually thought about this. I have two answers.
Yeah.
I have two answers.
I'm excited because I have
Super Mario World.
idea.
I have two answers to this. One is going to be more of a dumb, silly answer. Because all I can think about is Duke Nukem 3D and the stripper bar. And and I just think it would be hysterical to have a Duke Nukem 3D type game where he's just this overtly masculine butch gay guy, just playing the trope, like the overplaying the masculinity in the gay scene, because there are those gay guys who are so concerned about appearing straight,
right?
Like, no, I'm masculine. Like, dude, you're too masculine now, and we can all tell you're gay. Yeah. So it's like, so I think that would be just pretty funny. But then like,
I feel like that's been in a TV show or something where there's been.
I feel like Rockstar would do something like that.
Yeah,
like
probably.
That'd be a Rockstar thing.
That's great though.
I've always found it interesting in GTA. Not to cut you off, but I
You're
did.
right.
He does that a lot.
Yeah, I do it all the time. In GTA, when you go to strip club,
he apologizes
for, in GTA, you go to strip club. When you're male, it's female. When you're female, it's female. But there's no male strippers. I find that interesting.
Oh, really? There's no male strip club in GTA?
Yeah, so you can get a lap dance from a female if you're female, but you can't do it as a male because the stripper's all female.
Only so many polygons to go around, I guess.
I guess.
I guess. They go topless, too, which is weird.
But never bottomless?
No, they always have something on.
Never full Monty.
No.
Should be some Chippendales in there somewhere.
That would be hysterical. That's in GTA 6. They're gonna have like
Chippendales never lets guys in, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. They're gonna have like the equivalent.
Chippendales ads. It always says no male in audience.
Did you see? There was an Australian Chippendales called the
Thunder Down Under.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's an amazing
great name.
Yeah. Anyway, your second.
But my second one would be more along the lines of what Overwatch is doing. I don't think there's anything beyond that. Honestly, they're handling it well.
There's more to come, which I think's interesting because I looked online like who's next, but like who is going to be that one that comes out that I'm like, oh, this is cool.
A very no pun intended, straightforward protagonist who just something comes up in their backstory that happens to have a same-sex partner or something. I mean, whether it's something has happened to that partner that's caused them to die, and that's what causes.
So just making them a strong protagonist of an average game, and again, like you said, putting the gay part of it into just background noise, backstory, just like not a big deal. Just kinda.
I think that makes more of an impact than anything.
I think you're right.
Like how Overwatch is handling it with.
And Overwatch is a cartoony ass game.
Which I find the thing I find interesting because you brought it up earlier is the media is the one who makes the big deal out of it, and it's like, yes, that it was released, it was a thing, but the media went because
because it's still a big deal.
Yes.
For a while.
Yeah, and we don't want.
There will be a time where it's just like people are just like, So yeah, who cares?
It's never going to go away to an extent until again generationally. One generation bites the dust. But sorry, old people. But it's interesting. I do think that there are companies out there willing to do that more now. I think especially since they've seen success with it in TV shows and stuff, to the point where, for a while, like in Glee and things like that, it was like a huge deal when they had gay characters in there, and Modern Family, when it first came out, it was a huge deal. And you're getting more and more to the point now where normalizing that for the audience that's out there, like the Housewives are starting to give less of a shit what's going on with their TV shows, as long as it's like funny or whatever it is they're looking for out of a TV show. It does seem to be these sort of stalwart, no offense, extra religious guys from a certain era that are just railing against it. And those people honestly don't really understand video games in general anyway. So there's a case to be made for them saying, "Oh, these video games are too violent, let alone are they too gay." You know what I mean? Like, let's worry about the blood before we worry about Tracer. But Overwatch is very cartoony. It's a very cartoony representation of a video game in general, because that's just the aesthetic of the game. I would like to see it be more realistic, like a game like by Quantic Dream or something, and they would be a good company to do it. Where
Telltale would be a perfect, but that's still cartoony though.
Yeah, to an extent, but just something that is kind of hyper realistic in the way that it approaches it, and just kind of makes it like almost like a Max Payne character.
Gears of War would be a great.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Picture
Marcus.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something so hyper masculine that it's just like to throw in some trope in there of someone like Marcus in there is like he happened to be bisexual or something. Just like oh
cool.
I think the cool thing about it would be if they could do it in a way that didn't phase anyone. So, like, let's say, I know, but it like so. What I'm thinking more about, we're talking about like Marcus Phoenix, right? So let's take Marcus Phoenix. So if you're playing a game with Marcus Phoenix as the main character, obviously the dude is like crazy buff and he's like super like
chainsaws,
killer guy with his goatee and everything. And so if you're a kid and you're playing that game,
I have to deal with?
And you're playing that game, you're instantly going to be drawn to a character like Marcus Phoenix because he's a hero character, right? He's a hero character. So it has to get to the point where you can have a hero character like Marcus Phoenix go through, at some point, show backstory that would show him being, like you said, bisexual or gay or whatever, and have the kids just be like, "Oh, he's still badass."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I guess the goal is.
I think that, just because it's becoming so normal anyway, it's becoming so well accepted, I guess is a better way to say that eventually it's going to become that. That's what the end goal is, to where it's just another storyline, to the point where it's the player of the game will just hit the skip button because no one cares. Right. Because no one gives a shit who Marcus used to be married to. Right.
I'm waiting for the day that obviously Gay Tony kind of did it, but where they come out and they don't have to do it after the fact. It's already known before the game releases, and it doesn't become, like you're saying, it's not a thing. It's just like, here's the game.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to put it on the cover.
But I don't want them
gay character. It's just going to be like, you're going to know before the game's released, so it's not like, because right now I feel like
I don't want them to draw attention to it in a bad way, and be like, this is the first game to have a gay protagonist.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying do the same thing Overwatch did, but do it before the release and kind of see, because right now, this is going to be a real bad pun, but I feel like they're going in the back door. Hey. I feel like
see what I deal with.
Right. That was
but no, I feel like because the reason I think Overwatch is doing it really well right now is you love that character already, because even if you're somebody who does not think homosexuality is right, or you have an issue with it, you know that character, and you love that character, kind of the love versus acceptance thing. And I feel like if you did it beforehand, it might have been a different story, because people would have immediately avoided it because of them coming out and being gay.
Well, I think that they did similar things with some comic book characters, where you had some of these comic book characters for several
universes,
universes, already, deaths already, and then you found out they were gay, or then you found out they were, I don't know, regenerated, whatever.
Albus Dumbledore.
Right. So it's I understand what you're saying, where it's like you want it to be established before the game is released,
or as the game. Well, I guess Overwatch can kind of
as an initial part of the character. So it's not like,
because I feel like you're
so it doesn't feel like you're sneaking it in under the radar.
It feels like right
sneaking
now
sneaking it in the back door.
Well, I was gonna make another point.
Is that just gonna be the title of the podcast?
Yeah, sneaking in the back door. I feel like it kind of is kind of like they were closeting Tracer to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to come out and say, hey, she's. Again, they wouldn't come out and do this big celebration like, hey, she's gay. It's the same thing they did, and like, here's the comic that she's in. Here's her girlfriend, but would have done it closer towards the.
So I have a question about that. So the Tracer thing was kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, and this is hopefully an interesting question, do you think that Tracer being a girl and being a gay girl is different to if it would have been a gay man?
No.
You don't?
I don't. I think it's just as impactful.
But there's a lot of straight guys that are kind of like, I don't want to say into it, but they are accepting of gay girls more so than gay men because that's just the way they grew up. They're just like, oh, lesbians are cool because
they're
still attracted.
They sexualize gay women, but they also, whenever they think of homosexuality, they immediately sexualize it, and so it's easier for them to think of gay women because it's two women.
Yeah.
Whereas since they're sexualizing homosexuality, that's the first thing they think of. They don't think of love; they think of sex.
Right.
So whenever they think of two men, they're still sexualizing it, which is why it grosses them out.
Can I throw a wrench in all this? Can Winston be the next one that comes out and figure out who his partner is? He's a giant monkey, by the way.
Who's Winston?
He's an Overwatch character.
Oh,
because it says there's going to be more. He's a giant monkey.
I don't play Overwatch.
Yeah, so Winston. I'm really intrigued. Like,
I mean, is that bestiality at that point? Though?
I don't know. I'm really intrigued.
See, that's what they warned us about. As soon as we can get married.
First the gays, then
right? I mean, it just all goes downhill.
But no, I'm trying to think like who would be next, and to me, the next logical step, if Overwatch was to continue this trend of current characters, I mean, who knows if they're going to release one that's going to be gay down the road, but of current characters, the two I think that makes the most sense if we're going to do the male route would be Soldier 76 and Reaper, because if you look at their backstory,
isn't Reaper basically death?
He is, but if you look at their backstory, it's so intertwined to each other. I mean, I read the Overwatch comics. I love the Overwatch comics. Their lore is really cool, but their story's so intertwined that it's like two friends that kind of grew up together and they didn't realize they were in a relationship. They're like, oh shit, like,
interesting.
We're here, and I think that'd be such a perfect thing of like, again, normalizing it. We're hanging out together. We're buddies, but we're a little bit more than that as well.
A bromance.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, to me, that'd be
a twofer as well.
Yeah,
right?
That'd be the next logical one of the current characters if you just look at the story that's been released for them.
I think one thing that they'd have to be careful of that I feel like sometimes Marvel, from an outside, I don't read comics.
Yeah.
At least very, very rarely. Marvel appears to sometimes falls into the trap of is they get into these trends of what's hype right now. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh my god, LGBT rights, or oh my god, let's build up minorities. So let's get a lot more black superheroes, which is important.
Yes.
Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
Or let's get a lot more LGBT characters in there. That's important, but they do it to the point where they're no longer minorities, which is no longer representative of the actual world we're living in. So it's not realistic
they overdo
anymore.
It to the point where it's
now it feels like you're milking it to make a profit.
Right,
so in that sense, like, Overwatch has a gay character. Awesome. They did it right.
They've also said they're going to
don't milk it.
Yeah.
Because now it feels like you're milking the consumer.
Yeah, so if you make a second gay character, it's like, well, it's because of how much press we got off the first gay character.
That's what it feels like.
But
and their intentions could be pure.
They've said it before Tracer came out. They said there was going to be LGBTQ characters. Characters. I'm going to get that eventually. Heroes in the game. And it was always plural. It was never singular. So they've said it before this all happened.
And that's fair. And it's not necessarily that I think that multiple is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just that I've seen that when some production companies...
And you jump on trends. I mean...
Exactly. And it's common. I mean, it's just bound to happen. Yeah. I just think it's something that companies just
be a little careful of.
Aware of. That they're not coming across as...
Next Uncharted, Nathan Drake will come out. That would be a doozy. that would shock the world.
Interesting.
I think... Crash Bandicoot.
Crash in his bird.
Banjo
back to bestiality.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Well, no, but that's two birds. That's two animals.
Two birds, one stone.
Interspecies.
Did he have one removed, or
I don't know how. I feel like you've hit the perfect on this podcast.
That's a pretty good place.
So
to
yeah,
end.
let's into those two. The wrap up.
Yeah, we've been ripping through for an hour and a half now. I think we've had great conversation. Hopefully that hasn't been too weird because
not at all. I mean, I'm
Tom was
happy
really
to talk
concerned.
about that. I gave Keegan the green light to ask.
It was funny because the little backstory how this all came about is I approached you to be on the podcast because I thought you would be a good person to talk to about things, and I brought up the idea of potentially talking about sexuality in video games and all that, and you were like, okay, cool, I'm open with it. He texted me and said, hey, be careful about that. I was like, I talked to Jake, he's cool with it, as long as, because I wouldn't make you.
Well, let me point this out.
I wouldn't make you
text me and said we're gonna have Jake on the podcast and
I
talk about
probably didn't
gay
bring in the whole
things.
loop.
And I said, can we make sure that we don't upset Jacob during this conversation of gay things? Does he know we're going to talk about gay things? That kind of thing. Just so you were aware that you know, because that could be a touchy subject if you're not expecting it out of the blue.
I had no idea coming here today that this was going to be. It would be I was completely on board for this.
It'd be one of those
I'm
things
happy to have these conversations. It's the only way that everyone can have an understanding and become.
And one of my thoughts with it as well is you can speak to it versus if me and him talk about it.
Oh, we talk about shit that we're not at all qualified to talk about all the time.
Mainly video games.
Well, and honestly, I mean, the only other person at work who you could possibly talk about this with it would be Chad, and that would be just an awful conversation.
Those of you who don't know Chad, he's an interesting character.
He gets brought up quite a few times.
Hi, Chad.
That we do.
Yeah,
I don't think he knows either.
I told him about the bear story. I told you about the bear story, didn't I?
Probably.
With Elder Scrolls, me and Brian both chat at the exact same time because we both got them at the same time. But anyways,
joy to the world.
Let's do this plug thing where people can find us. Do you have anything you want to plug? Do you do anything interesting on the internet?
No, thanks for throwing that out there.
Cool.
You're a photographer.
I try to be.
You're pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You have an Instagram. That's where
do you have like an Instagram or
something? That's where real photographers go.
It's Jacob Lucas 1983.
I'm guessing he was born in 1983.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I am.
I was like,
1 year after me.
Woo! I was born in 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a goddamn child.
There's the same age gap between me and you as there is to my brother.
That's ridiculous.
Which is crazy to think, because think about the differences we've had and the differences he's going to
do your plugs, Keegan.
Do them plugs.
Child.
So if you're listening to us on iTunes / Google Play / Stitcher / SoundCloud, anywhere you can listen to the lovely podcast, go ahead and subscribe and rate, and you'll get new podcasts every week. Starting now, as of this one, on Wednesdays instead of Mondays. So this is the first one on Wednesday, so if you're a little confused why it's today and not Monday, that's why.
We did tell them last week, so hopefully they were expecting it.
Yes. People don't...
I try and keep people up to date.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday today.
It's Wednesday. If you want to follow us and watch the video version of this, you can head over to level2gamers.com and subscribe there. There's also
I have to highlight it.
He Vanna Whited his face. There's also other videos that we do, VR stuff, gameplays, streams. Lots of video games. There's quite a few. I think we officially passed almost 600 videos at this point. Pretty damn close.
We're getting pretty good.
Just crazy.
Last time I checked, we had 815 subscribers, which I'm not mad about either.
Yeah.
So that's.
We've had one of our best months currently right now.
For sure.
So it's kind of.
And we have coming up on March 12th. You have your special event.
My birthday.
Talk about that aside from your birthday. That's the less special event of the
March 12th. So we talked about it a little bit earlier with James Degrado Power did the 24-hour live stream for Able Gamers last night, being the 20th. Right, today's 21st. Yes, 20th. He finished it yesterday. We're doing one March 12th to March 13th, starting at noon on March 12th to 1 p.m. on March 13th.
When he says we, he means he.
Me. Yeah. People will be visiting. David will be there. You'll be there at some point.
I will pop over.
Between 9 and...
I'll definitely be on
between 9 and midnight, you'll be there.
Stream, yeah.
Yeah, you'll be there between 9 and midnight.
But I might see if I can come over and say hi.
Aww.
Yeah.
But no, so Degrado raised $250. Our goal is $500, so hopefully we're at $353 as of right now.
This is money going to ablegamers.org.
Go to
which is
teach them how to plug.
Yeah, which is basically, if you didn't know, Able Gamers is a charity that basically tries to make it so that disabled or handicapped individuals that want to play video games can. So if they have one hand, some fingers messed up, or they can only control things with like their mouth and eyes and that kind of stuff. Basically, they create like these custom controllers for them. So there's a guy out there that can play World of Warcraft with a straw
in his eyes.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? But they're awesome, and I think of anyone that deserves escapism, it is people that are bound in some way to paralysis or loss of limbs or what have you. So
they also
feeling of movement.
Yeah, exactly.
They're also really good at working with developers to make sure accessibility features. We've had podcasts all on this, but where accessibility features are put into games, whether that's, to me, colorblind mode's a big one I look for because I am colorblind. Other people, that is button remapping, gamma, that kind of stuff. Like the settings we don't really think about that are there, and you're like, why the hell are there 30 different options here? That's because that's for somebody to do it. So go check them out, ablegamers.org. Donate. There will be a link, if I'm good. I'm hopefully going to be good enough. Put the link down in the description down below if you want to go donate to our fund, to the Level 2 Gamers stream. In
the meantime, though, you can join in on the 12th and watch Keegan half die as he goes through a 24-hour stream and donate there if you feel like it.
Follow us on Instagram, Level 2 Gamers STL, Twitter, Level 2 Gamers STL.
I'm going to post some videos of Jacob playing VR.
On Level 2 Gamers STL. You can follow us on both Twitter and Instagram and see that, and probably Facebook, because it goes to all three.
All the things.
It goes to all the things. It's all connected.
It was a good time.
I love being outside the headset and looking at somebody in the headset because you just have the lights. Because when you're playing it, you don't see you just see the screen, obviously. But like the lights are like, ooh. But
so we're gonna
wrap up,
hang tight with Jacob and play some games, and then you guys will get to hear Jake on some of our games that we're going to be having on the channel here shortly. Maybe one VR, a couple bites, something like that. We'll figure it out.
We don't know what we're doing 90% of the time.
In the meantime, we'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode. It was a special episode. I like when we get to do things like this. I like bringing our friends on board, so thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And B, I like being able to discuss things of this nature because I don't think these discussions happen enough in this community, and the gaming community is a really kind of notoriously shitty towards minority community. So I'm happy that we get to hold a candle to that.
I just like it out with Jake.
Yeah, and Jake's cool.
Jake's a cool dude.
So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always, welcome to the second level. Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.